part 3. Hopefully you're still with me. A little bit more to do. I know this is a long note, but hopefully you're keeping up. It's been a little while since we did a note, so you should be okay. Stop complaining. Okay, borders. Borders we saw were they were a little bit of a mystery when we did HTML, but hopefully we'll solve them a little bit here when we take a crack at CSS. The border declarations have 3 parts. For example, there's border and then 1 pixel dash blue. And the borders all have this size, the style, and the color. Size is in pixels usually. The style can only be a certain number of things: dashed, solid, double, so these sorts of things. And then the color is the exact sort of things that we were talking up here. It can be words like blue, can be a hexadecimal, or it can be an RGB. And yeah, that's the color. Fonts. There was a big thing in the HTML, but we're not going to worry too much about fonts, except for just so we're using the same language. Let's get some definitions down there. Serif has little notches on the letters, like in Times. You see that? Let me get a pointer here. I can't point with this. The little notches. You see the little edges on the letter, and the little edges on the letter there for the G kind of flays out like that. That's called a serif. Sans serif has no notches, like in Arial. See, there's the T or the G or whatever, the C doesn't have any little notches on the end of the letters. That's called a serif. Cursive looks like handwriting, like Freestyle Script. Not many browsers support cursive fonts. And this is an issue when you're coding web pages, is you love it to look exactly on the user's browser like it appears like when you wrote it. But not all computers will have the font you want installed. Most of the regular ones, Times and Arial and Comic, they will, but they might not have some of the ones that you really like. And that's a problem. The solution in HTML is to give HTML a list of fonts to try. So we do this in CSS in the following way. So for example, we use the font family, and we're used to seeing it give it 1 choice. But if we give it 4 choices, it tries this one, and if Verdana is found, well, then the font will be Verdana. If that's not found, then it tries Arial. And if that's not found, it's called Times. And then if that's not found, we can give it a default one, sans serif. So the browsers will all have a default serif or sans serif font that will be used. So it says, note, for font size, for the size of the font, we can use PX for pixels. I think it's actually PT for points, by the way, for points, or it might be pixels. I'm going to add that too. It might be PX for pixels as well. Pixels is for sure for size of pictures and stuff like that. I'm not sure about fonts, to be honest with you. The point is that I wanted to talk about this M business. M alters the default font size. So whatever the default font size, it's built into the browser that the user is using. Where this M business will give it the idea of, we want it twice as big as the default or half as big as the default. And the important thing there is, on a laptop or a desktop, we'll have, say, 20-point font will be readable size, but 20-point font, if you're using a mobile phone, web browser on a mobile phone, it's way too big. You only get a couple letters in it on the whole screen. So the built-in font might be only 6-point or 8-point, and then we can adjust the size depending on the M value, the EM for emphasis. So that's a good thing to do if you know that your web pages will be viewed on mobile devices. So It's up to you. I think the most examples in the Code Academy use either point or pixels, and I can't remember which. Next. Oh, is that it? Is that all we needed to talk about? I could have fit this in on the last video. Okay, so we got a short part 3. Um, Now that was a long lesson, and now I've got some exercises for you to do. Um, and it will take you a little while to digest the CSS, but it should feel familiar. If you're feeling totally lost about CSS, make sure you ask for help.